Here is lesson 2 for the group class. And for this lesson, all the children now are going to bring their violins to class. And I'd like to start out the class with violin playing first, and then when we're done with that part for the first half, then we pack up their instruments and then they come back and we clear the floor so that we can do the singing portion of our class. So that's why the group lesson plan starts out with both violins. That's what's happening. And for this first group class with the violins, they don't need music stands, so we don't need to worry about music stands and nor chairs either. We're just going to have everybody stand up and learn how to get good posture standing with their violins in their hand. And this lesson is going to be all about beat feeling and playing on the beat. And so they've all, assuming they've all had their first private lesson with getting acquainted with the instrument and learned how to play the violin 3 ways: right hand plucking and left hand plucking and arco playing. Then we're good to go to start playing together. So, and you're going to see on page 2 of their book, the RH plus refers to right hand plucking, the LH plus refers to left hand plucking, and then the arco sound that's played in the bow. And we've got a bunch of patterns here, and you can see they've got the reminder of what the names of the strings are on the page. Although, since there are no music stands on this group class, they're not going to be looking at the book, they're going to be looking at the board. Okay. So what we're going to do is I like to set up a beat for the beat feeling on the percussion on my keyboard. So hopefully you've got an electronic keyboard that will be at your disposal. You don't have to have it. You can use a drum yourself, or you can play a beat on your violin with open strings. But I find that it's fun for the kids because it makes them feel like they're actually playing some real music, even though it's just open strings. So I just try to find a beat on the keyboard that is simple. It's hard, I mean, a little bit more interesting than just a metronome. But so here's one. And as you can see in your lesson plan, we're going to start out with some right hand plucking, which is the easiest one. So I'm going to get them all set up, and they're going to get their violins on their shoulders. You're going to check them out, make sure that everybody's got a good position. I like to have them aim their scroll at a certain place so that nobody's bumping into each other, or it all seems orderly. It gives them a place to focus. Maybe I'll just have them aim their violin at me while I'm at the keyboard so they can see me really well. But so what we're going to do is we're going to do some open string cycles. That means that the children are going to play. I'm going to use this very first rhythm, ta, 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 rest. You're going to play it twice on each one of these open strings. And it's nice to have adjacent strings. You don't have to use this sequence here. You can make up your own. It could be shorter, it could be longer. Maybe later on you might put some non-adjacent strings in there, but this seems to work really well. So I'm going to show you now what I mean. So here I am going to set up from my keyboard a beat, and for right hand plucking, the speed of about 84 is good, but if you find that your kids, it's a little bit too fast for them or a little bit too slow, play around with the speed. So here we go. Here's a percussion beat. Can you hear that okay? All right. You can tell it's just a little bit, and they get their bodies start going and feeling that beat, so they feel like they're playing some music when they're playing, even though it's a simple pattern such as this. So here we're going to go start on the E string, and I will just play along in the E major chord. I'll put the chord that is for each one of these, and it also gives them a little bit of a feeling that they're playing real music. So here we go. We're going to start on the E string, everybody, and you're going to play it with short bow strokes. Not with the bow, however. We're not doing the bow yet. We're doing plucking. I almost forgot. We're going to start out with plucking on the E string, and we're going to feel that beat and see if we can play together with the beat. Okay, here we ready, and fast, so they have some kind of emotion during that. And that 1, 2, 3, and on the G. Bounce. This might be a little bit fast, I'm not sure, but you can, like I said, you can slow it down with your keyboard if you want to. And here goes on the A, and 2, 3, bounce. Back up to E, and we're going to finish with A. Bounce. Right, okay? So after they are able to do that, with their right hand plucking, you can see that as the children can feel a beat, they can hear it, then they have something to play with. They need to have something that they can hear to play with rather than relying on their own beat feeling, because of course that's just, they haven't cultivated that yet. That's what we're doing here. Alright, so now after they've done left hand plucking, then we're going to do some right hand plucking, then we're going to do some left hand. So they've learned all this from their private lesson, their hands at the bout, but you'll probably have to get them all set, make sure they're all ready to go. And we might do the same thing, only with the left hand. But for left hand plucking, it definitely has to go slower. It's not, we're not able to do it that fast. So I usually put it somewhere around 76, so I'm going to change that. I wish I could play the piano and the violin for you at the same time, but not possible. I guess it is possible if I were to fill myself twice, but I think we're good. So what I say, we said 76, so here's a good speed for left hand plucking. Let's try that out, see how we like it. Yeah. That's probably good, because it's a little harder to be able to get your finger around there and to find the string. So here we go. Ready, and bounce. And I could be doing something, the same thing at the keyboard if I wanted to, or I could just stand here and I could pluck with them. But I've got the keyboard doing all that beat stuff, and I've got my hands free and I don't have to be playing. I can just let it do the beat keeping. Okay, and then after they get good at that, then you can have them alternate. This takes a little bit of thought. So we're going to start out with right hand and left hand. Okay, that takes a little bit more concentration. Right hand and then left hand. It's kind of a challenge for them. It's kind of cool. And to still stay with the beat. See, that's plenty fast for left hand plucking. So they can alternate like that. It makes it a little bit more interesting and more challenging. Now, when you gave them their places in the classroom for standing, they don't have their bows. So they all left their bows in their cases because we weren't going to be using them right away. But so now you're going to go send them back to their case and get their bow and review with them a few of the bow hold exercises. And just to help them to remember how it goes. But you know what? This is a technique refining thing, and you're mostly going to do technique refining at their private lesson. But you're just going to see if everybody can kind of get the idea. And so as you teach them the whole dead fish thing and the stick and being able to do all that, I would say maybe review windshield wiper and see if they can do that without hitting their neighbor. Okay, but now we're going to do bow to string. So we've got the rhythm, and when we do the bow, now when they play with the bow, it can go a little bit faster because the sustained bow stroke is harder than a short one is. So probably first of all, I'm going to show them, and we'll do that little roll the arm exercise all together so they can all kind of get the feeling of how their arm is in a different place for each string. So let's adjust now. We'll do our little rhythm here. Let's do ta 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 rest and bump it up to about 90. Let's see. Let's see how fast that is. All right. Oh yeah, that's good. So they can handle that. what you're checking on as they play this to see if they're holding their violins properly, they've got a proper holding, and also that their bow's working, but you want them to play with short bows in the middle, just like we did at their first private lesson. So here we go. And bounce, bounce. They're going to feel their elbow, but it's all about playing on the beat. Rest. And so on. Okay. And if you wanted to throw out an extra challenge, you could actually alternate an arca time with a left hand pluck, like we did. That would be challenging, but you know, you might have some kids who might want to try that. It's pretty cool. Alright, so that's about beat feeling. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to play the words of the song. So we've got Mary Had a Little Lamb, and I wanted to make sure that I check that all the children know that song. Sometimes, you know, if you have some kids from other cultures in your class, Hispanic or Asian, whatever, they might not know that song, depending if they're, you know, how long they've been in the United States. So make sure that they know it. Mary, you know Mary Had a Little Lamb, so we don't need to sing it for you. But what we're going to do is after they sung it, make sure that I'm going to tell them, well, we're going to play the words of Mary Had a Little Lamb on our strings. And when we play on our strings, we call them the open strings. There's no fingers involved, there's just those. So we're going to play the words. So you tell me, how would I write the words? How would I write the rhythm of the words for Mary? And so, Mary had a... So you're going to say, so how many sounds are there on each beat right here? Mary. So there's one, right? So you're going to get it on the board, probably in stem notation. I'm going to put a bar line there, even though I haven't officially made conscious bar lines, but they'll get the idea of how we're organizing this. They're going to discover that the words to Mary are all tas, okay? They're all quarter notes. Ta, 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 ta. And then what happens here? Oh yeah, there's a rest right there. There's an empty beat. Ta, 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 rest. Ta, 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 rest. And they're going to help you. They're going to help you get the rhythm. So in other words, you're going to dictate what they're telling. You're going to write what they are dictating to you. Ta 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 ta. We haven't made any long notes conscious yet, so we're just going to call it a ta followed by 3 rests. And this is exactly what is in the book. But remember, they're not looking at the books right now. They are looking at the board. And so boys and girls, what we're going to do is we're going to play these words. We're going to play our strings. This is how it's going to go. We're going to play on D first. D, 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 D. Then we're going to play all of those on the D string. Then we're going to shift over to the A string, and then back to D. Again, D here, A here, and back to D. All right, so let's take our arco bow, and what we're going to do is we're going to decide how we're going to start it. Now, there's one thing about violin playing is that there are directions the bow has to go. What we call, there's 2 directions. There's a down bow, and then there's an up bow. And if you look at your rocket ship, you can tell which one's down, right? Down goes this way, up goes that way. But when it's on the side, it's a little harder to think about and to notice. So you just have to remember the down bow goes towards the frog, the up bow goes towards the tip. I'm going to try to get everybody to start with a down bow, but if they get mixed up, especially with the string crossings, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. We're just going to, this is their introduction to down bows and up bows. So now, what we're going to do, and they're going to I'll probably just play this with them on my violin first so that they can kind of get the idea of how it goes. So maybe you can step aside so they can read the board. So here we go. And actually, let's try beat feeling from our keyboard. Maybe let's stay with 90, but probably would be a good idea. Ready, and they're going to bounce. No lifts or anything. We're just going to stay on the beat and drop it. Rest, rest, rest. And I think that might be a little fast for starters. You might want to start that one a little bit slower, so especially when it comes to the string crossings, they have a little bit more time to think about it and the direction that it's going. But so I'm going to play that a few times, and then they're going to feel their elbow drop, and we're going to know where those string crossings are to the point that they could just play that from memory. In fact, I'll just ask them and say, how many of you think that you could play that with your eyes closed? All right, and so there'll be some takers, and they'll discover that they can actually, after you've done it several times, that they can play it with their eyes closed and they have it memorized. And at that point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to then, okay, you think you can play that, and I'm going to play the tune, and we're actually going to play a little duet here. So let's get our beat set up here. 1, 2, ready, go. So I'm playing the melody on the keyboard while they're playing the accompaniment. Right? And you know what? You could, if you didn't want to play it on the keyboard, I'd have the percussion going. But then you could play it on your violin, the duet. So they'll think that's pretty cool because it's actually a duet and it sounds good. And then the ultimate challenge is for them to go home and practice and be able to sing the words of Mary Had a Little Lamb and play this on the open strings at the same time. That's really a great test of musicianship to see if they can do two things at once. At this point, they're going to put away their violins and we're going to clear the way so that we can get to our singing part of our class. Okay, so after they've all put their violins away, they're going to have the children sit on the floor in front of the board, and me, and I'll probably sit down there on the floor with them. But we're going to do a little bit of vocal playing now, and I happen to have a dolphin puppet, but you know what, you might not have one, but you could put a picture of a dolphin on a stick or something else to be a little manipulative so that they can follow it with a vocal play. So if you look at your lesson plan, you can see it's under the singing. The teacher works the puppet or toy. So here I'm going to work it so as the puppet goes up, their voices go up. As it goes down, you can make fast or can make slow arches or sudden plunges, or just kind of follow the way that goes. So it would be something like ooh, 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 and you can do all kinds of dolphin tricks with that. So first of all, I would have everybody follow the dolphin toy and do the tricks, and then I would do it and have ask solo. So I'd have so and so, can you follow the dolphin, and see if we can get some individual kids to do it. And you want to make sure that you choose those children who feel like they're going to be confident to do it as an example for the others. And if you don't have that many in the class, then you can have everybody give it a try. And then you're going to give the children one at a time a chance with the toy, and then have the whole class follow their dolphin tricks. So this is a nice a little vocal play for them to get their voices agile and working. And then the next thing is going to be a little game called Cobbler, Cobbler, Mend My Shoe. And here we're going to go to our little classroom game playing place so that you can see how we're going to play that game. We already did copycat. Let's sing a song all the way through. Cobbler, cobbler, mend my shoe. Get it done by 2:30. 2:30 is our let's see. 2:30 is at the door. 2:30 is at the door. Get it done by 4:30. Hey, what's a cobbler anyway?
It's a
Julia.
person that can then shoot and can make shoes.
Person that makes shoes.
I thought a cobbler was like a pie.
So what we're gonna do? So we're gonna pass it on the beat. Okay. Shh. And pretend like there's somebody in the middle. Yeah. But right now we're gonna just pass it along. Okay. Here we go. Cobbler, cobbler, mend my shoe. Get it done by 2:30. 2:30 is at the door. Get it done by 4:30. Now Alina has it at the end. She's gonna hide it behind her back like this.
Everybody.
And everybody's got to put their hands behind their back. And the person that is got blindfolded in the middle has to guess who has the shoe at the end. You get 3 guesses. All right. So, and you might guess them and you might not, but everything's going to be good.
Can we get a little bit?
So, Julie, do you want to be the person in the middle first? So, what happened to blindfold?
Can you pass it behind?
Yeah.
So, it's too hard to pass it behind. But, so when we come to the end, then I'll take the blindfold off. Oh, I got it. Thank you. Okay, so, here's Julia. She can't see, right? Okay, so, we've got to get a little closer so we can reach each other. Okay, ready? Cobbler, cobbler, mend my shoe. And Lena, we know that you have it right now, so you're going to start and we're going to pass it to the next person. Are you ready? Remember, the rule is everybody sings. Okay? Ready? And cobbler, cobbler, mend my shoe. Get it done by 2:30. 2:30 is at the door. Get it done by 4:30. Everybody, hands behind your back. Hands behind your back. Okay. Blindfold up. Julia. This is going to be hard, I think. But maybe it won't be. Right. Oh, it's not me. I don't have my hand behind my back. 3 guesses.
Michael?
Wow, that was awesome. Okay, Michael, you get your turn. You get to be in the middle. Wow, that was really good. Good. So after they've played the game, they know it very well because everybody's had a turn passing that shoe around. And so I'll ask the children, so how would I write the words of cobbler, cobbler, mend my shoe in rhythm language? So we're going to get it up on the board with the heartbeats, and I'm going to write what they tell me. Okay, so we'll get that on the board, preferably with some heartbeats on the board. And then we're going to give everybody, each person, their beat book so they can write cobbler, cobbler, mend my shoe. So this is the next rhythm pattern. It uses taws and titis. They're going to be learning several songs that have characteristic rhythm patterns so they can identify rhythms and do rhythmic dictation with it. So they're going to write rhythm and cobbler in their beat books. And then we're going to do some listening to end this lesson up. And we're going to go to some works of Symphony Number 8 by Beethoven. So I'm going to get a picture of Beethoven, get some information about him, whatever your kids, you can talk about the time period he lived a little bit. Kind of depends on how old your children are and, cognitively what will make sense to them. And, you can tell them that he lived after Haydn, which is a person that we studied last time. And so give them a little bit of information about Beethoven, and then have them listen to the recording of Symphony Number 8, which is the second movement. And then I'm going to tell them that actually Beethoven wrote that movement in the celebration of the invention of the metronome. So I'm going to, of course, show them my metronome. I have this one. I like it because it's loud. So here we go. Might pass it around so they can kind of fool around with the speeds and say, why do you suppose it would be a good idea to invent a metronome? What usefulness is it? And everybody was so happy about that. But you know what? In Beethoven's day, they didn't have lights and batteries and electricity like that. They had a metronome that had a little arm on it with a weight, and if they changed the position of the weight, it made it go faster and slower. It kind of went like that, kind of like a tick and a top. So after that little bit of a discussion about metronome and being a practice buddy that we use, then they are going to listen to the music. And as you listen to it, it will be obvious why, what the characteristics are about that music. And so, of course, I'm going to have them listen to it for maybe a couple of minutes and say, well, why do you think what about the music sounds like a metronome? Of course, they'll come up with answers about the beat. And then maybe give them a couple of times, depending on how much time you have in your class, to move freely to the music, however they want. So hopefully you've got enough space. You have to put out some ground rules so that you don't bump into each other, but they can show different things about the music with the way their body is moving. And that is the end of lesson 2. So at the kids' next private lesson, you're going to be refining some of these ideas that we just introduced with the rhythm patterns. We just used the first one, the ta, 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 rest. You could also use these other ones if you want. But the idea being they could pass off this page if they can do these patterns 3 ways, and if they've got good positions, a good sound, they're bowing the arco bow strokes with a short bow in the middle of the bow. Page 3, I don't really do in the group class, but I do it in the private lesson, and what this page is about is finger numbers. And so I'll ask the child in lesson, take a look at this first line. You could say the numbers of that, will you? And it goes 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. That's pretty easy to remember, so could you say that with your eyes closed? 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. Okay, so they don't really need to look at that. They already have that little pattern figured out. But let me grab my violin here. So you think on the E string, so what happens on the violin is our 4th fingers are pinky. So we're going to pluck with our left hand. Again, our hand is at the bat. 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. All right, and then we'll try that on the A string. 4, 4, 3, 3, and it takes some active coordination, to kind of get that contact with the string with each finger. So it's a good thing to practice. Then we'll do it on each string. All right? So that's the first exercise. The next one is 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Easy to remember. Next one, 4, 3, 4, 3, 3, 2. So those are all easy to remember. So they don't need to look at the page. You're just going to recognize that pattern and practice those. 4, 3, 4, 3. So that they're good at contacting the string. And by the time they're finished with this page, they know their finger numbers. And of course, those who play the piano will recognize that their pinky is not the 5th finger like it is on the piano, but it is the 4th finger. And then I'll probably, after they can do each one of these on one string, then I'm going to assign the 4th finger to the E string, and the 3rd finger to the A string, the 2nd to the D, and the 1st to G, so it would sound like this. Back to the first exercise. 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. So you could do all those exercises assigning a finger to a string like that, which gives them a little bit more agility and more practice with their fingers contacting the string. And then there's enough space down at the bottom of the page that I have the students make up their own pattern. Here's an 8. It's just an 8-beat sequence, and they're going to write down whatever fingers that they want to use, so they have their very own pattern that they can show and practice. And if you have time in the group class that you want everybody to show that their left hand plucking exercise that they made up, then you can do that. All right, and then you'll notice on page 4, here's our Mary in the page. We didn't introduce it from the book, but there it is for reference. And in their lesson, you're going to help them refine. We're going to talk about down bows and up bows. We're going to work on the bow stroke. So there's a lot of aspects about technique we're going to be working on. Sound, bow hand, string crossings, how the elbow works. So that even though that seems like it's a very simple little piece, it's not that simple because there's plenty going on with their violin technique. And that's good for their private lesson. They've got plenty to do. Thanks.